Hello and welcome. I'm Bigfoot, and this is episode 16 of my Let's Play series. So here we are, still in the nuclear setup. We're just waiting for things to heat up, really. Oh, here we go. What's going on here? Problems ahoy. There we go. Okay, back to okay. Yeah, so we're just feeding in some fuel and just waiting for stuff to heat up. So I can start getting some actual power out of this. So this is heating up. Just got to wait for it to get to the right temperature. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. We're about to get started. 499, 499.5, and 500. And we have power. Glorious, glorious nuclear power. Why aren't you going? Here we go. So first thing I want to do is I want to go and switch off. I'm going to switch off my coal mines. No, not my coal mines. Steam furnaces. Now that we have plenty of power, and we do really have plenty of power, it's running at about 10%, just over 10% of total capacity. Now, total capacity is probably not quite achievable because we're limited on water, you know, as is always the case. Oh, no. I need to sort this out. I'm even running out of iron. I need to get those trains going again. Yeah, so although this full capacity is not really achievable because it's limited by the water, I reckon I could get about 70-80% of it. So there's still a significant amount of power and I'm going to be doubling it. So yeah, loads of power. Definitely don't need to worry. Now I am just going to run over and sort out some iron because that's worrying me. But the next thing that we're going to do something a little bit more funky from at this point because I want to do my perimeter wall, my final version of the perimeter wall. And I've had this idea for a perimeter wall for some time. I tried to make it work. When was it? It was for my first vanilla time lapse. I don't know if you go right back to my first vanilla one, my most hated one, but the one that's got the most amount of views. There's a bit at the end where I start playing around with the outposts, and I build the perimeter wall for an outpost, and it doesn't line up. So I demolish it, and then I build another perimeter wall for that same outpost, and it still doesn't line up. And then I build it again and then it does line up. And it was more kind of a proof of concept. Like what I wanted to come up with was a blueprint, a perfectly tileable blueprint for perimeter walls. So if you had a complete continuous ring around your base, then it would join up perfectly once you met back at the beginning again. And that first vanilla time lapse, that was kind of my first stab at it, and it was so difficult trying to make it work that I never really tried it again until I came up with a new idea of how to make it work. And I haven't really had an opportunity to try and make it work since I came up with this idea. So from this point, I'm going to be filming both a perimeter wall setup both for this base, but also for a tutorial that I'm going to be making. Now at this point, from the Let's Play videos perspective, that tutorial will be out already. So this Let's Play will come out afterwards. So you probably are already aware of that video. But at this moment in time, that video has not been made yet. So it's like this weird kind of time loop where I'm kind of in front of time and behind. Anyway, so that's what I'm gonna start playing around with. I'm also gonna I need to use the time lapse to be able to capture the building of this stuff. So I need to create a new save file. If I start mucking around with the time lapse in the same save file, then it won't quite line up when I do it next time around for reasons that you don't need to worry about. So I'm going to start collecting up some materials for this new perimeter wall setup. In fact, no, I'm going to deal with this iron. Then I'm going to start collecting up some materials for the perimeter wall, and then I'm going to do that tutorial. Yeah, and when I come back, we can start putting in the final perimeter wall, and then I can breathe. And freaking breathe. That's going to be an awesome moment. So, next. Okay, so here we are. This is my new frame of reference for my tutorial. This is my now go-to solution because of my failure with the first sexy blocks video that I made, and I had all sorts of flashing lights and all sorts of problems with it, so I had to redo it. So this is the new go-to. I'm going to use my time lapse, and yeah, just going to get going with it. To be honest, let's get cracking. Okay, we are back. From the video's perspective, it's probably just a click of your fingers and we're back again. But it's been a week. It's been at least a week since I was in this factory doing anything productive. Those walls, ooh, that was quite an experience. You know, before I started building them, probably had about, I don't know, 90% of it in my mind that that I knew was going to be okay. 10% of doubt, but that 10%, working out that final 10%, that was very, very frustrating. When you spend hours building something and you think, I've got it right, I've got it perfect, and then you try it out and it's not, and it doesn't work. Trying to figure out that why. The railways with the rubber ports, that was a real leap. That was a moment of, thank God for that. Anyway, so we are back, and obviously the thing I need to move on is my perimeter wall. Like, that's why I was doing it. That was why I was making those segments, is because I want to build the perimeter wall in here. And although I don't need the perfect geometry for this one, I've got several bodies of water I need to navigate. Oh wow, everything is so, there's barely any noise being created at all. Everything is switched off apart from uranium. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was why I was building the segments, was so that I could pop them down the map. Oh, that was what I was saying. Yeah, I know that I don't need them necessarily to be perfect because I've got bodies of water in the way, but if I'm going to sit down and spend a lot of time building those sorts of segments, then they're going to be perfect. I'm not going to waste my time doing some half measure. And they need to be perfect for the outposts. Those are going to be much smaller, so those are much more likely to have a complete ring around. So although I maybe should have started, well, anyway, I needed both of them. One of them I needed to be perfect, so it didn't really matter. I may as well have made them both, and that's what I did. So, main perimeter wall time. Finally. So I've had plenty of time to think about it and look at this and see where I want to put things. My normal strategy would be to try and build the wall tight around the base as I could. But this particular section here is a good example of that. What's the point building a wall down here? What purpose would I fulfill? I can use, if I move the wall out, I can use less wall, less turrets, less ammo, less all of that stuff. So I can move it out and get and the wall becomes more efficient. Why wouldn't I do that? So, although my normal approach is to try and build it tight in and have this nice condensed little factory, that's not the factory that I've built. The factory I've built is huge and sprawling, and it's awkwardly shaped. So I kind of made my bed. I've got to lie in it. And also, the thing, this is something else I've been thinking. I mentioned a long time ago how I've set out on this factory trying to make something specifically non-symmetrical, and then have found myself becoming frustrated with the fact that it isn't symmetrical. This is another perfect example of that, because my normal strategy, normally what I would do, see, I've got these center lines, so I would just make the perimeter wall span between those centre lines of the railways. So those would be the exit and entry points out of my perimeter wall. And that's what I would use to go to the outpost, those 4 exit and entry points. But none of them line up with anything, none of them go anywhere useful. I mean, this isn't necessarily to do with the symmetrical nature of the factory, but, this one hits a body of water, this one hits a body of water, this one hits a body of water, and this one, I mean, they all hit a body, they all do. None of them go somewhere where I can actually make them useful from the wall, so I'm going to have to use other lines to enter and exit the base. Which is just, not my... again, this is what I mean. I'm annoyed that it's not symmetrical, but in reality it's not the symmetrical nature of the factory. It's the fact that it's a large bit of it is built on water, and none of the railways line up with anything I can use. So anyway, I've been looking at where I want to put this wall, and I'm just going to deal with it one bit at a time. So this is where I want to start. This looks like a nice narrow neck to build the wall across, and I can then gain capture of all of these nice resources, which I'm going to need when I'm going to have to lose this patch of iron at some point. That might be sooner than I want to. So these 2 patches will be nice replacement for that one. So yeah, that's the first bit of wall that I'm going to build is through here. So I need to defeat some more enemy bases. But first, what I want to do is I just want to carry on these paths and these railways. I'm just going to build these paths and railways, carry them on out, and then I'm going to I'm going to put the segments that I built for the main perimeter wall on the map. So when I built those for the tutorial, I made a whole new save game. It's like I splintered off a whole new timeline almost. So those perimeter wall segments were on a different save map, mainly because I needed to mess around with the time lapse. And if I'd done that in here, the images wouldn't have lined up perfectly. There would have been a slight shudder between the two. It doesn't. If you have if the time lapse picture is fixed somewhere, and then you move it somewhere and move it back, even if the coordinates are exactly the same, the images don't line up perfectly. There's something not quite right in the time lapse mod, and the way that it moves the camera, it doesn't quite arrive exactly where you say it should do. So if you move the time lapse move back again, there's like this brief moment where the 2 images don't line up and it looks rubbish. The first 2000 SPM time lapse I did had that problem, and every time I moved the camera there was like this brief shudder where the camera slightly shifted, and watching it back I didn't like it. So I try not to do that nowadays. If I'm gonna do that, I try and do it in a completely new save file, just so I can go back to where it was. Anyway, that's by the by. So what I want to do is I want to build out these paths and these railways just so I've got them in the similar sort of right place for when I get there. And then I want to build those segments on the map, because there's going to be some things wrong with them. There's going to be inserters that point in the wrong way. There's going to be gun turrets that aren't being fed ammunition. And if I have them set down on the map, then whenever I find an issue, I can just immediately correct it. It can be really, really annoying trying to correct them in the wall itself and then try and take a blueprint while it's in the wall. I mean, it is completely impossible to even do that for the diagonal segments, because obviously the blueprint uses orthogonal directions and we would need one on the 45 degree. Someone will probably point out in the comments that that's possible, but that's what always seems to happen with this stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to build those segments on the map somewhere where they're out of the way, so that as I find problems I can fix them. I want these segments to be perfect, and I'm certain there's going to be problems. So that's what I'm going to do. Build some paths, some railways, and pop the segments on the map. And then I'm probably going to start looking at taking out some biter nests. Yes, finally. Finally, a final perimeter wall, so I can start finishing stuff. Oh, it's going to be glorious. Glorious times. On we go. What you just saw there was me discovering for the very first time that it's possible to reflect these damn blueprints, which I'm certain of. I'm certain I tried it. I don't know what. It must have been 2, 3 years ago. I'm certain I tried it, and there was no option to reflect. You had to build it separately again. That was. I checked it. I'm certain I damn well checked it. But no, for some reason, well, I mean, this is not the first time this has happened. That I've tried something and then subsequently, so I've tried it and I've ruled it out in my mind, so it definitely doesn't work. And then so I've, for some time, proceeded as if it definitely didn't work, and then I've put a video up on YouTube and someone's popped up, oh, just do it like this, push this key. So I suppose what I can do right now is check whether I got these reflections right. So this is the opposite one of the one here. So let's reflect it. Ah, okay, yeah, well, so the things that are different are the conveyor belts, which are running in opposite directions, because they need to join, they just run in opposite directions. That's... Oh, that's annoying. Really annoying. Anyway, onwards we go. Onwards we... That perimeter wall video is doing really well. A little bit unexpected. At the moment, YouTube's telling me that my expected number of views are about 110, 120. No, what is it? Expected views. Yeah, no, 120. Typical. It's at 1200. Alright, okay, so here's the map. I've just defeated that big biter nest, and it's uncovered this patch of ore. If I want it, then the wall needs to be out here. That's going to run through the oil. If I want that, then it has to be out here. If I want this patch of copper, it needs to be... Oh, like this something. Oh, I quite like that idea. Okay, so I just have to defeat more biters. Let's see how the map pans out a little bit. So I've got my collection of boxes here. It's a bigger collection than normal, and that's well, a few reasons. One is because I'm going to be completely exposed out here to any attacks, so I need to be ready. And I need to do this quickly and efficiently, so that lessens the likelihood that happens over a sustained period of time, and I'm not able to, defend myself. The second reason is because I don't have anything left. That's everything. Everything in these boxes is more or less what I've had left. The factory is now more or less completely iron and steel critical. There's very little of it left, and so it's just stopped producing anything useful. I've actually had to run over to my starter factory and pilfer it for a whole lot of walls and turrets, and even inserters and long inserters. The main factory is a little bit critical, and whilst I'm out here at risk, I don't really want to start switching stuff on and making a whole lot of noise. While it's quiet, it actually lessens the potential for them to attack me. So, yeah, I'm just going to do it as quietly as possible. Let's just put it that way. Right, let's just do it. Let's get going. No time to rest. Well, that's one small piece of perimeter wall done. One very small. I mean, from looking at it up here, it's a long old chunk of wall, and I'm going to need a whole lot. This is going to be freaking ginormous. This is why I tended to keep things tight in, is because these perimeter walls, they're expensive. They take a lot of resources. By keeping it tight in, you cut down on a lot of that stuff. Although if we imagine what this wall would have looked like, it's obviously a lot shorter. The one that I've actually built. Consequences, all consequences of earlier decisions. What I need, what I'm running out of is what I'm completely dry of is iron and steel now, and hopefully by moving this wall away, I mean the mines are going to be in here, so hopefully I can get those trains going and it won't cause too much attention. I mean the things that what I really need is rockets. Because I'm going to need to clear some of this stuff out and I'm completely out of rockets. I've probably got enough walls and turrets and conveyor belts and everything else to physically build the walls. But I need the rockets to clear the space out first. Yeah. So, I'm going to turn on some iron, get that going. Maybe into other things as well. Maybe even start setting up some mines in here. I really want to finish this wall. Let's just see. See what happens. So trains are back on now. Things are whizzing around. I've got a pretty comprehensive robot network. It's taken a lot of time to get it that way. Oof. But you get it done once, you don't have to do it again. So yeah, trains are whizzing around. Oh, there we go. As witnessed by my recent death. They're all running on rocket fuel, so they're running much faster. If you're not paying attention, they'll just whiz around a corner and catch you before you've even seen it. What I wanted to do was make a little confession. So I've got a lot of hours in this game, a lot of time. When did I buy it? A long time ago. But I have never, not once, ever, launched a nuclear missile, rocket, one of the whatever it is. Never done it. So I've got this nest up here. I want to explore what's up here. I want to see where this goes, and I can't really attack it with conventional rockets. So what I'm going to do, I don't know whether this is a bad idea or not, but it's worth trying at least once. I'm just going to load up my spider with a whole load of nuclear bombs, saunter my way over there, save it, and then we'll see what happens. It's probably a bad idea, but having never launched them, I'll give it a crack. Got to be worth a go, isn't it? Okay, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea. Okay, what we got up here then? Nothing. Does this stay on Moonscape? Okay. Let's... Okay. I don't think that's worthwhile. In fact, I don't even need a perimeter wall up here, because they can't get me. There's water separating us. Okay. So it did at least serve some purpose. It wasn't completely pointless. Alright. So, perimeter wall next. I think up here would be sensible. And I'm just going to pinch a little bit. I'm just going to run it across here, I think. I don't need the coal. I've got plenty of like little coal deposits spattered around the place, and I suppose I do need quite a lot for my. I'm not going to need much, so iron plastics. But if I start pushing, something like that, I reckon maybe. I'm not going to use atomic bombs here. I just need normal rockets. I don't want it to be completely. I don't want to completely ruin the terrain of my map. Permanently scar it in that way. That's, yeah. If I can avoid that, I will. Right. Where is my spider? So, what I've discovered up here is some nice juicy uranium. And if you were watching earlier, in this episode, probably the last episode, I was looking for some uranium. This is eminently within reach. When I found it a moment ago, I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this wall. I'm going to put the new wall more or less just here, just more or less where it is, and I'm going to shift. I'm going to have like an outpost up here because I've got coal and water, so I can set up steam power to run any mines that need them. But looking at my base as a whole, you know, it actually it doesn't. It's not outside the realms. It's not outside of what's the word? Proportionality. You know, for it to carry on around here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to encapsulate it. This is going to be a big base. A very, very big base. This is very much not my normal strategy. I know I might have said this a few times already. But this is almost like the strategy that I've always tried to avoid by making small compact bases with small compact perimeter walls. Because at some point you just think, oh, there's a bit of resource, I want that. And then you get there and it's like, oh, there's a bit more resource, I want that. And you never get to a point where it's like, that's enough resources. You just keep getting more and more. And then the perimeter wall gets bigger and then you got to feed it and power it and get robots to and from it and everything else. This is a whole new direction for me. I don't know. I'm kind of in a little bit of a loss. I'm just going to carry on. I'm going to do what feels like instinctively the right thing to do, and that would be to bring the wall around here like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I need to clear some more nests. Right, so here's my perimeter wall. You know, things coming along. Probably what, halfway there? Maybe just a little bit under halfway. I've connected this one up to the other part of the wall. I haven't done it with this one. This is just a temporary line of roboports. A lot of roboports, mind. But just so that, I mean, I haven't built everything in these perimeter walls. I haven't built some of the concrete. You know, I've actually left. There's a fair amount of stuff for the construction robots to do when I finally release them onto the network. You know, I could go and run around and do it myself, but you know, I don't really need that stuff. All I really need is the turrets and the ammo. As long as I've got all of that, then the rest of the stuff is just extra stuff I need to carry around whilst I'm building this perimeter wall. So I'm going to do exactly the same that I've done over here. So I'm going to run a line of roboports up here just to connect the two, so that robots can get across. Obviously, they're not actually going to do that. They're going to just cross the water. They're just going to go like this. But at least it's connected. I mean, it does need to be connected for them to even recognise that it's on the same network and that it's something that they need to do. So, yeah, I need to connect the two. Then I'm going to have to work way around here. I've already set up my collection of boxes down here somewhere. Here we are. So that I can get cracking with this next part of the wall. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to run the wall around here. And then probably across here somewhere. And then across here. And then this wall's probably going to go more or less exactly where it is at the moment. Maybe pinch a little bit. I don't need to worry about this uranium ore anymore. I don't need it. So I'm less restricted. I am starting to get to the point where, you know, these resources I've got to more than I probably need. So, I mean, this wall, I've built it straight through. Where are we going? Here we are. I built it straight through a really big lump of coal over there, and another block of coal over here. You know, there's only so much of this stuff I need. I mean, if I just keep accumulating resources, it will just never end, this wall. So, I've got to draw a line at some point. This is the line I'm drawing. That's probably the perimeter wall. What happened was last night I found myself. What happens with these Let's Play is that by the time I get to an evening, I'm a little bit spent mentally. I don't really talk. If you ever hear me talking on a bit of this Let's Play, I'm like, oh, this happened, and it's because it's at the late in the evening, and I'm just my mental energy has been spent. But last night I couldn't be bothered to talk, but I could be bothered to work. So what I've done is I built my lighting array that I wanted to build, that I said would take me a fair amount of time, and it did take me a fair amount of time, but it's cool. I like it. So what we have is this line will move up and down depending on what this Z value is, depending on what the proportion of these two values are. So if it's 19, it'll be, I think it's up here somewhere. If it's less than 19, then it means we've got more U235 than we need, and it'll be down here. If we've got more, if it's greater than 19, then it will be up here somewhere, and we'll have not enough U235. But the problem is that when we don't have enough U235 in the system, it automatically switches over to send it to Covarex. So I mean, that's more or less why I've got 19 kind of at the top, is because the range of values I'm really measuring are everything up to 19. Everything over 19 shouldn't really occur. The only way that's going to occur is if the storage bins completely fill up. And I've got nowhere near enough U238 to match it. So, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a... It's not a perfect system, but it's a system. So, 19 up here, less than 19 goes down, more than 19 goes up, but it probably won't be up, because as I've just explained, the two bars at the top and the bottom, they're not connected to anything. They're just going to show up red. So if red is if there's no U235 in the system, then it will just show up this bottom two lines just on its own. Everything else, it will creep up in. It won't move in batches of 3. It will just move up in range in 1, but three of the rows will line up at any one time. All of these lights are attached to ranges, so I can play around with the range and have the lighting overlap. That was the plan. And then for the actual colours of the lights, if it's at the bottom or the top, it'll be red. If it's down at the bottom or kind of in the middle at the top, it'll be yellow. And then if it's in the sweet spot in the middle, it'll be green. Pretty pleased with it. It did take a long time. I'm glad I did it. It's filled the gap. I'm probably more pleased about filling the gap. But yeah, I'm glad I could get it to work. Anyway, right, so what's... Now that I've got that out of my system, what's next? What's next is for me to carry on my perimeter wall. I'm going to go and clear out some biters and finish off this wall. That's what I'm going to do. And with regards to the biters, I've got a new strategy with these atomic bombs. In fact, where's my spider? Where's my spider? It's all the way up here. Gravy. Alright, let me go grab it. Alright, so here's my spider. This is my new spider atomic bomb strategy. I'm going to preload it with 2 atomic bombs. I'm going to put those bombs back in here. They seem to want to reload. Turn off the auto. Then I'm going to creep up. Let's have a look at the map. I'm I'm going to kind of creep up from this direction, get as close as I can, turn on the auto-targeting, launch those 2 bombs, hopefully it'll go one either side, instantly retreat, turn on auto guns, reload with all my explosive rockets, and then attack. So hopefully those 2 first strike atomic bombs will break the will and reserve of these nests, you know, take out the large part of their attacking potential, and then I can just, you know, clear out the rest with the normal explosive bombs and not, you know, blow myself up in the process of clearing these stuff out. That's the new kind of strategy. I've already done it once or twice. Let's see how it goes again. Let's see how it happens. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that definitely seems easier in my mind. I mean, did both of the bombs go off in the same place? Where's the second one? I need to watch that back, see what happened. Okay, right, let's reload with some more bombs, go again. Yeah, I think both of those atomic bombs went off more or less right on top of each other. I think that's what happens in the video, it's difficult to tell. Right, let's try again. Okay. Let's have another crack at this. Ooh, we need to see the button, there we are. Yeah, same happened again. That didn't happen when I did it the other times. Maybe it's a little bit confused, but it can't be the fact that there's 2 bases. The other times I tried it, I was obviously only attacking 1 base at a time. These, I'm attacking kind of 2 of them. I don't think that has an effect. Maybe I just need 1 atomic bomb first strike. Maybe that's all I need. Some work to be done to that strategy. All right, okay. So let's get cracking with the wall. That's the really important thing. Right, so that is the perimeter wall. Well, that's the perimeter wall done. What I need to do now, it's looking pretty cool actually, I'll be honest. It's a lot bigger than I thought. And I think it might actually be, it will have long-term power implications for the size of this thing. My nuclear power station seems to be idling at about 1/3 capacity. And I'm easily going to need 4 or 5 times as much power as I have as much at the moment. So that would be right on the limit of what twice this would be. So maybe this extra land might come in useful for some quite large solar arrays. That's probably what I need to do. But regardless, that's future Bigfoot stuff. This is current stuff. Currently, the wall is there. It's got power, so the laser turrets are working, and I've tried to fill as much of it with proper ammunition as I can. but it's not a complete ring anymore. So I've done the best I can. What I need to do now is I need to complete the ring. I need to join all these sections together with landfill bridge things and a path. Complete the ring, and then because I've left behind the old conveyor belt that I had for the old perimeter wall. That's what this is, because it's completely full of ammunition. So what I want to do is I want to complete the ring. The current ring kind of runs round to the first segment, so it runs around all the way around to here, and then it stops here. So what I want to do is I want to complete the ring from here to here, and then work my way around the circle, and that way it will draw all of this ammunition that's in the system around the new perimeter wall. Because my new plan, this is not a plan I'd done before, but my new plan is to start doing uranium ammunition for my perimeter wall. So I don't want to. I'm not entering any more red ammunition into the wall. I'm going to feed this new loop round, and then I'm going to set up a new factory line for uranium ammunition to start feeding into the perimeter wall, because that's going to take a long time. And then probably I need to set up some mines. Once I've got the perimeter wall fed with ammunition and I can rely on it, I can start making some noise out here in the perimeter. At the moment, most of the noise is confined to my perimeter wall, because that's where the old perimeter wall used to be. So now when I start using these patches of ore that are much closer to the perimeter wall, I'm going to start drawing much more attention. So I'm going to need all of that better ammunition when I get there. So that's the grand scheme of things. But the first step is to start joining it all together. That's what I need to do now. So yeah, perimeter wall sorted, done, happy. Well, mostly happy. There are a few details around it where I'm not 100%, and I'm almost certainly going to fiddle around with at some point in the future. In particular, this one down here, where I've got this path, and what it seems to want to do is it seems to want to be a new path here. So what I feel like I want to do is to take all of this factory in here, move it down, create a new path through here, and then try and find a way to route stuff through. I don't know. Haven't thought about how it's going to route through exactly, but that's what it looks like it wants to do. And I did try it. I started to demolish this, and picking up all of this rocket fuel and solid fuel, it's just a nightmare. I just lost interest with it after about 20 minutes of trying. I figured I'd try this little kink out, see how I felt about it, and if I wanted to fix it at some point in the future. I'm almost certainly going to fix it at some point in the future. There's no way I'm going to leave it like this. This is annoying me just looking at it. Also, I've just the way that this path interacts with the base is a little bit unsatisfactory, but I don't think I've got much of a choice there. I might play around with it a little bit, but I think for the most part that's where it's going to go. But other than that, they're all there, and I'm not going to change anything else. Now, the last time I did this with these paths, connecting the walls in this manner where I didn't have a complete ring around my factory. I drew a straight line, so I worked out what gradient I needed to get from A to B, and then I drew a straight line from there to get it, and it looked really cool. I liked it, but it was a complete nightmare to run around. Obviously, we've only got control of our little guy in 8 directions, and walking around anything that's not in one of those 8 directions is awkward. So I had a very late change of heart to do it all in these 8 directions, and I think that's my new go-to because it was a lot easier. I mean, it was the time that I did it was for the first racetrack, and it was a nightmare working out these gradients, working out these straight lines. It took forever, and this is a much bigger base, so it would have taken even longer. You know, I'm really glad that I've done that. So I've got properly diagonal paths, so it's easy to run around. Happy days. I've also started to fill in the grid. You know, I had an evening where I was, I just needed some busy work to get on with. So that's what I've started to do. Started to fill in the grid. And I came up with a railway junction to join this stuff together. I'm going to need one. I'm going to need lots of them. They're going to be going everywhere. This grid's going to carry on, hopefully, in here and, over here. I'm going to try and grid up as much as I can. That's the plan. Yeah, so I just started that last night just because I had something. I just wanted something to do, just something where I didn't have to think too hard about it, just something to do. However, that's probably that for another episode. It's been a good one. Well, it's been a long one at the very least. I got the perimeter wall tutorial out, and I'm really pleased with that. I had a very clear thought in my mind of what I wanted to do with it, and I managed to get it all down. I mean, it took a while to get it right, but I feel like my video editing skills are definitely improving. I'm really pleased with that one. Anyway, yeah, that's it for another episode. Till next time.